Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Monday, August 26, 2024. And I am David Menzies, and my co-host, folks, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host. Do you know that today is National Got Checked Day? And I'm afraid she's on her own. As much as I'd like to help her out, it would be a dire violation of Rebel News human resources policy. She is the she-devil with a sword. She is the Khaleesi of Northern Alberta. She is Sheila Gunn Reid. How you doing there, Sheila? And did you check yourself?
I did check myself, and I'm happy you checked yourself before you wrecked yourself, because today is also Women's Equality Day. From what I understand from the website I normally turn to decide what day it is today. So it's Women's Equality Day. It's also National Dog Day. So I'm sort of disappointed that you didn't salute Sir Gregor today.
Oh, I probably should have. I should have brought in one of his baby puppy pictures. But, this Women's Day, don't you find it funny how until July 21st, that woman was kind of under the ban, Sheila. Like, what's a woman? We had, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brown not able to answer that when asked by that senator, I think Blackburn. We have our own kooky Supreme Court Justice, Sheila L. Martin, saying that you shouldn't use the word woman. It's better use the words person with a vagina. And then on July 21, Joe Biden announced he's not going to run again as president. And suddenly it's back in fashion, isn't it, Sheila? The word woman. We have the first potential woman president, the first potential Black woman president, the first potential South Asian woman president. I mean, she's, I guess, racially fluid. It depends on what audience she is addressing at the time. But don't you find it uncanny that the kooky progressive left that could not define the word woman, presumably because it might offend the transgender community, the men pretending to be women that don't have all the womanly parts. And now all of a sudden, like I said, Sheila, the little white dress with the floral prints, it is the hot fashion item of the summer of 2024.
And wasn't that the real story of the DNC? Is all of a sudden they figured out what a woman is, but they are quickly redefining what a man is. Like, they kept talking about how, we don't want any of this like mega toxic masculinity nonsense. So take these Midwestern first gentlemen or whatever they're, Kamala's husband, who had that baby with the babysitter from his first wife, and we don't even know what happened to the baby. And then Tim Walz, who's just lied about his service. And so they've just sort of, it's okay to be a man as long as you are not like a regular dude who provides for his family and is, a protector and an honorable person, but you get to be like the bumbling white loser from all the paper towel commercials. That's the only acceptable form of being a man.
Oh my God, Sheila, you are so bang on that point. You see, the DNC, they don't want the men that were, say, depicted in Saving Private Ryan, the opening scene of storming the beach, literally putting their lives on the line, getting killed. The DNC likes the man of today who is watching Saving Private Ryan and complaining about the lack of racial diversity.
100%. 100%. They have to be idiot props in the background of their women's lives. That's all they get to be.
What a world.
What a time to be alive. We should tell everybody what we're doing here today. Okay. This is the Rebel News live stream called Rebel Roundup. Right now it's on Monday and Friday, wherein we talk about the news of the world, completely unscripted. So you'll get some hot takes and possibly some cold takes from David and me. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for sticking it out there. There are 1.6 million sets of eyeballs there. But if you want to migrate over to a platform that really doesn't care about your politics, but also has the added benefit of allowing you to support the work that we do here at Rebel News, might I suggest you head on over to Rumble. On Rumble, you can leave a paid chat. It's called a Rumble Rant. If your paid chat is over the $5 US minimum, we are obligating ourselves to read it and address it on air, but don't let that be the bar for entry. We frequently read chats that are a little bit under that, and sometimes even the free ones, depending on how funny, witty, or clever you are. So, David, I think that's it. I think we could probably tell everybody about our upcoming event in Calgary.
Yes.
Rebel News Live. It's our one-day freedom conference. It's coming up October 5th. I think early bird tickets are still on sale for a little bit. It's a Saturday. If you opt for the VIP ticket, you get to spend all sorts of time with your favorite rebels and our special guests and speakers. We get a special VIP lounge. You get to have dinner with us after the event. So it's your general admission ticket plus premium seating. Thank you. Oh, you're really just scrolling there, and I don't have my reading glasses on. So it is, there you go. Your VIP tickets are reserved premium seating, all day access to a VIP VIP lounge. That's new this year. A free piece of limited edition Rebel News Live merch, and you get to have dinner with us and special guests afterwards. There are only a limited number of those because we want to keep the exclusivity of it. So if you are considering that, might I suggest you hop right on and get one of those because they go fast, they sell out. But somebody let me know how long the early bird tickets are on sale for. It's wrapping up very, very soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want tickets, go to rebelnewslive.com and do it today. Do it after the show, but do it today.
And Sheila, before we get going, and there's so much to talk about, and I'll let you pick the first topic, but I just want to say, and this is an anecdote that I want to pass along to all our female viewers who are in a marriage, in terms of the greatest gift of all to give your husband on your anniversary. And it's what happened to me yesterday on my anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Pardon me?
Happy anniversary.
Well,
she made it
thank you.
Another year.
Number
Good for
33
her.
for those that are counting. And it says, Sheila, I wish Lady Menzoid a happy anniversary. And she said, it's today? And with this look of horror. And then what I did is I feigned tears. I went, oh, you forgot. What that did is give me hand.
Oh.
I have something to hold over her like the sword of Damocles forever. And here's me giving her a beautiful card with potentially $1 million gift with that card.
Lottery
By that,
ticket.
I mean, I bought her a lottery ticket. So it's either $1 million or trash, but still it's the thought that counts. But there was no thought. I told my good friend Brian what happened. He went, oh man, Sheila, he was so envious. He said, if only honey would ever do that to me, I would have hand too. So there you go, ladies. If you want to make your man like $1 million, just pretend you forgot the wedding anniversary. It is truly a gift to last. Anyways, I digress.
Did you circle the price on the back of the card like you normally do to tell her this is how much I spent?
Unfortunately, Sheila, it seems that Dollarama has adopted a new policy because every card I found had the dollar printed on it. Normally it'd be like $4.75, $6.50, but it would just be in the rack, all cards $1. And maybe they got into trouble with the competition bureau or something, but yeah. So now I just get a Sharpie and I censor the price.
You mark it up. The most astounding part of that story is that poor woman made it another year. Okay, let's get into the news of the day. Justin Trudeau held a press conference today. He all of a sudden sounded very Trumpy as his poll numbers fall because he is saying a lot of things about China, which Justin Trudeau has been very, very soft on. But all of a sudden, he's putting 100% tariff. Oh, I see why he's mad about China. So it's hurting the Canadian electric vehicle producers that he has subsidized to the teeth. So he's announcing 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles and a 25% tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum. Let's watch this, sounding lots like Donald Trump.
So today, we're taking yet another step to ensure that Canada is the country of choice to make the things that'll drive the new 21st century green economy. We're listening to automakers, we're listening to workers. Shortly, we will be introducing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles and a 25% tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum. See, because of our government's choices and the hard work of hundreds of thousands of Canadian auto workers, we are transforming Canada's automotive sector to be a global leader in building the vehicles of tomorrow. But actors like China have chosen to give themselves an unfair advantage in the global marketplace, compromising the security of our critical industries and displacing dedicated Canadian autos and metal workers. So we're taking action to address that. We actually spent some time talking about that and many other geopolitical issues last night with Jake Sullivan, the U.S. National Security Advisor.
Oh my goodness, Sheila, I am experiencing a profound feeling of deja vu. Why? Because earlier this month, as you know, Lincoln Jay and I went down to the Hamilton, Ontario, to a press conference at Stelco given by Pierre Poilievre. And these were his announcements. I think they're identical. 100% on all Chinese electric vehicles, 25% tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum. I believe Mr. Poilievre also announced a tariff on EV batteries. You'll notice that's conspicuously absent from Trudeau's tariff rant, Sheila, which is inexplicable to me because, as you know, we are doling out tens of billions, yes, billions with a B, on EV battery production. So why is this off the table? He said this is to stop displacing workers. You know, Sheila, when I was in Windsor just a few days ago, and folks, stay tuned for this, I went to the Stellantis LG battery plant that's still under construction. And
it's halted.
Pardon me?
The construction has halted on Stellantis.
Oh, not at this one I went to. Is this very recent?
Yeah. Stellantis halts construction on EV battery plant in Ontario.
Is that the Windsor plant? Because they were as busy as bees when I went out there. But the point is, and I'll double check that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Stellantis. What is the date of that, Mr. Producer?
Last year. And Northvolt?
Well, what the heck are all those people working on? And by the way, when I say people, I mean the homegrown tradesmen and tradeswomen and approximately 1,600 South Korean workers. So not only are your tax dollars subsidizing what I think, Sheila, is a huge gamble that Canadians are going to buy in, you know, big time to EV vehicles, which, let's face it, are unaffordable.
He's fixing the market.
Yeah.
He's fixed the market on this. He's trying to give us no choice. Sorry to interrupt. I'll let you finish.
Oh, no. And I'm sure Mr. Poilievre, he'll get rid of all these fake, bogus federal targets. Typically, it's 2035 in which we can't produce carbon burning vehicles anymore. But the inexplicable thing, how in the blue hell do you end up subsidizing a plant in terms of tens of billions of dollars, Sheila, and half the workforce are non-Canadians? And by the way, when the job, and this isn't a road to citizenship, the moment that project's done, if they ever get it up and running again, and that's really weird because there was a lot of work going on when we went there. What is the rationale? Is South Korea using their tax dollars to prop up jobs in Seoul for Canadians? I don't think so, Sheila. So when Trudeau was talking about displacing auto workers, yeah, like the conditions of that Stellantis deal, you mean? Unbelievable.
Yeah. Justin Trudeau is fixing the market. He is subsidizing all these battery plants, and then Doug Ford is happy to have them. What do you guys have? You have Stellantis, Volkswagen, and Ford all had EV battery plants announced, and then I saw Vic Fideli is trying to get another one there, and then there's Northvolt in Quebec. Umicore just halted production nearly a month to the day. Umicore halted production from Justin Trudeau's EV tariff announcement. He's trying to fix the market. He said the Canadians, we have no choice. We have to buy these things. And then so he's ramping up electric vehicle battery production and then banning electric vehicles from China. He's trying to funnel us, bottleneck us all into electric vehicles. And it's just not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen.
No,
we're not buying any electric vehicles, not from China, not from anywhere. We just don't want them. It's
simply not practical. I think the early adopter on this forced madness was the state of California. And I remember a year and a half ago, I did a deep dive onto this when I was guest hosting for Ezra on his show. I believe California is down to one nuclear plant left. It has 2 reactors. I think they're going offline and will not be replaced as of 2026. So here is a state, Sheila, in which there is roving brownouts and blackouts almost on a daily basis. And you're going to replace, I think the number, I'm going by memory, 12.4 million gas burning vehicles to electric. And once you plug it in, what's going to happen? Yeah, you already can't handle the capacity. I mean, Sheila, this is madness.
No, we have rolling brownouts in Alberta, and we have 800 years of coal under our feet that the federal government and Rachel Notley decided we are not allowed to use. If it gets too hot, we're threatened with brownouts. If it gets too cold, we're threatened with blackouts and brownouts, and it's ridiculous. And you can't just take us off a reliable baseload and say, okay, now you have to wait till the wind blows before you can turn on your dryer or plug in your vehicle. And when I say plug in, I mean block heaters, not electric vehicles. We've got some other comments from Justin Trudeau, but we have a message from Rumble and Truth Social that we have to get to first. Okay. And then we've got people asking Justin Trudeau if he's going to pull a Biden and step aside. But first, let's get to this. So big tech is suppressing free speech everywhere, and it's clear their censorship campaign is going to get even worse, especially if you're in Canada. Without free speech, we won't have a free society. That's why you need to dump the big tech bosses and join the Truth Social movement now. At Truth Social, you can get all your news and opinions, set up or join groups based on your hobbies or interests, and make yourself heard on any issue without being squelched by big tech censors. Join the network that is the leading platform for direct, unfiltered access to Donald Trump's social media posts. And boy, you know, what a joy he is to read online.
Oh, yes.
If you want instant access to all of Trump's announcements, plans, and reactions to the biggest issues of the day, Truth Social is the social media platform for you. Break free of big tech suppression, strike a blow against cancel culture, and reclaim your rights on America's premier free speech social media platform. Join Truth Social today. All right. Speaking of big tech censors and the men that love them, let's get into Justin Trudeau. A rare moment of a journalist doing their job in the mainstream media. Somebody asked him, given record low polling and a blue sweep rolling across this country, and, you know, even Montreal Island, they might have a conservative seat there, polling suggests.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. He's asked that, I mean, they ever had a conservative there? Probably not in the history of Confederation. Anyway, somebody asked Trudeau why doesn't he just step aside like Biden did, as though Biden did it for the polling numbers and not because he has a brain like Swiss cheese.
You say that you plan to stay on despite persistently bad polling, despite the by-election loss in Toronto that your party lost for the first time in 3 decades, because you want to continue to deliver. Isn't that what Joe Biden insisted on?
Listen, we are focused on being there for Canadians. We're focused on stepping up on support and investments that are going to leave Canadians better off for the coming years and indeed decades. Canada has built one of the strongest economies in the G7, in the world right now, because we've been there to invest in the middle class and people working hard to join it. We've been delivering on programs that have made a real difference in Canadians' lives. And right now, as people are facing challenges, we are setting the best balance sheet in the G7 to work for Canadians.
But sir, you just made the Joe Biden argument that his record justifies him staying. The electorate is saying they don't want you. They want change. Your polling personally is worse than your party's.
I spent the summer talking with Canadians, and people's focus is on getting the support they need for their kids, for their future. They want to see a strong future for Canadians. They want to see opportunities for their kids. That's what we're working on every single day to deliver. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm excited about. And that's why we're going to go into this next election putting a very clear choice for Canadians. But we're still a year plus away from the election. I'm focused on making sure we're delivering through that election the kinds of things that Canadians need. That's what we're here for.
Wow, Sheila, I love the look in Justin's face, because those were some prickly questions, especially, you personally are actually polling lower than your party.
I know.
Isn't it time to do a Biden? And it's kind of that look of the lion tamer when the cats are starting to claw back. It's like,
Yeah.
how dare you? Don't you know who feeds you at the end of this act, kind of thing. But I will tell you the difference between Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden. Let's not kid the kidders, as they say down on the Midway, Sheila. Joe Biden was taken into a little room with Nancy Pelosi and was basically given the speech of, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. Right. And the easy way is to leave with dignity, recognizing that it's Kamala's time, yada, yada, yada. Or the hard way is that we take you out forcefully, and it's not going to be pretty. And Biden, realized that the jig is up. So I guess what I'm saying, Sheila, is it comes down to the Liberal MPs. Do they have an appetite to pull a Palace coup? Now, I think there's some that are definitely on side, but let's not make a mistake, folks. When Justin Trudeau got elected almost 9 years ago, the party wasn't even the official opposition. So many of these MPs that are sitting there, and you probably don't even know most of their names, they're just backbenchers, they're just happy as clams to be in this government, to have already qualified for their pension. So for their own selfish self-interest, they don't see going after Trudeau as job one. I guess, Sheila, all we have to think about is the drop dead time in which a coup would take place, because we're less than a year and a half away from an election. Pardon me?
We're ticking over that time already, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's too late.
I would argue it's either next month or else this is the guy leading the Liberal Party. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Liberals are in trouble in places that are historically theirs. Like I said, the Conservatives look like they're leading in a riding on the island of Montreal. They are leading in Quebec. They're currently polling higher than the Bloc Québécois in two separate polls, in Abacus polling and Leger polling from about 2 weeks ago. That's unheard of. The Conservatives historically had like you'd sort of call them a French deputy in the party, who would do outreach to French language Conservatives. They don't even have that right now, and they are polling higher than the Liberals in historically Liberal run ridings. With regard to the future of the Liberal Party, what do they got? What do they got? If they can't wrangle in Mark Carney, I don't think they have anybody. And I'm not a Mark Carney fan. His policies around green energy should be stuffed in a suitcase and launched into space. But to save themselves, they have to go from without the party, because the current MPs, I think, have too much baggage. They have stayed silent for far too long. Who's next? Freeland? Nobody likes her. She's crazy. Mark Miller, also just a Trudeau sycophant all the way through. Everybody along the way has kept their mouths shut and enabled Trudeau into this mess. You can't pull a Kamala Harris and say, oh, I'm the woman for the job. You mean you're the woman who shut your mouth while he was doing all this stuff? Like you did, so there's nobody else. They have to go from outside the party. And I think the only viable option, who doesn't come with all the Trudeau baggage, is Mark Carney. Now he comes with all of his UN, World Economic Forum garbage baggage, for sure. But for a lot of Liberal voters, it's far more palatable than Trudeau himself at this point. And the polling shows it.
But Sheila, what's in it for Mark Carney? I'm not saying he doesn't have designs on becoming the next leader of the Liberal Party of Canada and eventually Prime Minister. But in politics, as you know, timing is everything. If I'm Mark Carney, I'm not getting on this sinking ship.
Oh no.
I'm letting the
Yeah.
skipper go down to
Yeah,
reside.
I'm not being Tim Campbell to his
Yeah.
Brian Mulroney. I'll tell you that much right now.
Perfect example. So if I'm Matt Carney, and he's certainly in no rush and he's financially well off, I let this thing go down like the Titanic, and I rebrand the Liberal Party as I'm the savior. I'm the next best hope. I'll restore things. And of course, by this point, if the polls are correct, we have a Pierre Poilievre majority government, and they will be trying to govern this country like adults. And of course, the trained SEALs in the media who are on Poilievre's hit list in terms of getting defunded, they'll be running piece after piece of, oh, look at all the defunding. Look at all the programs that are being canceled. Yes, because we can't afford it. We're bankrupt, essentially. And that will lay, I think, the pathway for Carney to exploit, as saying, I'm going to come in, I'm going to rescue you from this. But for getting on this ship right now, if I'm Mark Carney, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole, even if I'm standing 11 feet away. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't touch this with somebody else's pole. You know, you know what I mean? Like this, like, yeah, I don't, his only option is, as I said earlier, was to be the Kim Campbell, to be the person holding the bag when somebody else burns the party to the ground. I mean, he would have to come in and fashion himself as a Paul Martin, like a business-minded liberal. I just don't think there's an appetite amongst liberal voters for that anymore. If they're business-minded, they're already in the Conservative Party. The Liberal Party left them behind long time ago.
Sheila, and if I may say, I pine for the days of classical liberals like Paul Martin, and it's too bad. He was the author of his own misfortune in trying to be uber politically correct. When he earned the nickname Mr. Dithers, it was over for him. And there's one incident, really minor, but it solidified Paul Martin's fate. And I'll never forget, I think it was a CBC reporter. He was doing some Christmas photo op at his house. And she asked, is that a Christmas wreath or is it a holiday wreath? And Paul Martin looked like a deer facing the high beams of a Hummer on the 401, panicked, and he said, it's a $50 wreath. Yeah, so it's over.
Jeez, just say it's a Christmas wreath and that would have been the end of it. But it's when they try to make everybody happy, it just ends up in disaster. Let's go to, we got a couple more things we really need to breeze through. We're going to stay on time because we've got some messages from some sponsors that we need to get to. Justin Trudeau, as he continues to plummet in the polls, he's going to try to do things that the Conservatives are already saying they're going to do, thinking that Canadians are going to think that this is some sort of sincere change of heart and not just absolute power-hungry cynicism. So now he's decided that he's going to reduce the number of temporary foreign workers in Canada. Let's hear from him. All of a sudden, this is
2 years ago, in the aftermath of the pandemic and facing severe labor shortages, we adjusted the program for temporary foreign workers. That's what the business community needed. That's what the business community was asking for. And at that moment in time, those changes helped. They helped the economy. They helped businesses make it through a challenging moment in our economic recovery. But today's economy is very different from it was 2 years ago. Inflation has started to come down, employment is higher, and we no longer need as many temporary foreign workers. We need Canadian businesses to invest in training and technology and not increasing their reliance on low-cost foreign labor. It's not fair to Canadians struggling to find a good job, and it's not fair to those temporary foreign workers, some of whom are being mistreated and exploited. So I asked my minister to work on this over the summer, and we are taking action. We are tightening the rules and restricting eligibility to reduce the number of low-wage temporary foreign workers in Canada, with exceptions in certain industries like healthcare, construction, and food security. We'll also be looking at changes to the high wage stream of the program as part of the minister's expedited 90-day review. So to those who would complain about worker shortages, here's my message. There is no better time to hire and invest in Canadian workers.
So, Sheila, tell me if I have this right. Isn't this whole fiasco, because the Prime Minister mentioned the pandemic, isn't it all tied to really people being paid CERB to stay home and do nothing? And that's why we had to bring in all these temporary foreign workers, because we were still eating, we still needed clothing, we were still shopping, so on and so forth. It's just that there were so many Canadians that, hey, if I can just play video games on the couch and Trudeau's going to pay me for that, why should I schlep my butt out of this sofa and actually put in an honest day's work?
Yeah, and we have a generation of underemployed young Canadians.
Yes.
And the number of underemployed young Canadians who should be doing those entry-level jobs, because an entry-level job is just that. It's your first job. It teaches you about working in the workforce, and then you go up the ladder or take those valuable work skills and apply them somewhere else. But if we are bringing in temporary foreign workers to do those jobs, not only are we exacerbating the youth unemployment and underemployment problem, but we are denying young Canadians the opportunity to learn those valuable life skills about having a first job. We are just giving all the food service jobs to temporary foreign workers. We're just doing that. If you've been to a fast food place these days, it's by and large a lot of temporary foreign workers. Those are jobs that young Canadian people should be doing, whether they want to do them or not. They should be filling them because it makes them better workers going forward. The knock-on effect for future generations by not having them do these jobs, I think will be really, really bad for our economy in about 20 years.
Oh, 100%. And Sheila, in the department of there's plenty of blame to go around, big multi-billion-dollar corporations. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Tim Hortons.
Chamber of Commerce conservatives, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. If they can get away with saving maybe even just $1 an hour by employing these temporary foreign workers, they'll do it. You know, as they say, business is business, baby, nothing personal. And that is shameful, Sheila.
It is. Let's keep going on this, because I don't know how Justin Trudeau makes the distinction between the problems caused by temporary foreign workers and the problems caused by overinflated immigration targets, because they cause the same problem. They drive down wages, drive up the price of housing, and the strain on our social security net. So Justin Trudeau has said we're going to limit the number of temporary foreign workers because drives down wages, where do we house them, all those things, while simultaneously not doing all that much about readjusting his immigration target. So he was asked about that. Let's take a listen.
You're saying you're taking a holistic approach when it comes to immigration, considering the number of temporary workers when you're looking at permanent residency. But just on PR, is your government considering reducing the number on an annual basis of people who can get PR in Canada?
Those are the discussions that we're having as a cabinet here and over the coming months, making sure that our immigration, which continues to be an extraordinary, important advantage that Canada has in the world, that contributes to growth, contributes to well-being of so many Canadians, continues to be the way we operate, but it has to be done right. So we're looking at the various streams to make sure that as we move forward, Canada remains a place that is positive in its support for immigration, but also responsible in the way we integrate and make sure there's pathways to success for everyone who comes to Canada.
Sheila, I'm calling BS on this. The Prime Minister just said that immigration contributes to growth. It contributes to the well-being of Canadians. He left out one important point, one that's never spoken aloud. It contributes to the future viability of the Liberal Party of Canada, which is to say, the unspoken deal is you get into the country, but all we're asking every 4 years, when you go to the polling booth, check Team Red and quid pro quo, baby. That's what's really behind this, I think, Sheila.
Of course. And in the meantime, you cannot drive around Toronto because that's where so many newcomers are settling as they go to Toronto. And now you can't use the roads. You sit in traffic all day because our infrastructure is not keeping up with the Justin Trudeau's constant importation of voters.
Unbelievable.
Anyway,
well,
let's hit an ad
these. So, Sheila, if you were a betting woman, I think you're a betting woman. Can I call you a woman? What do you think? Is Justin Trudeau the face of the Liberal Party in the next federal election or not?
I think they don't have a choice. I think it's too late.
Yeah, the clock is ticking. I would argue if nothing's done by next month, he is the face. And you know what? I'm glad for two reasons. I don't think he can salvage this sinking ship. And Sheila, maybe it's an element of that's a German word, Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, where you take pleasure in someone else's misery.
I do.
I just want to see that speech on election night, the concession speech of Trudeau stepping down. What by the way, what's the over under that he's going to blame somebody else for this?
Oh, the far right, Russia. Maybe then he'll get around to saying that the Chinese are actually meddling in our elections. Who knows? It won't be his fault. It won't be his hubris and his ego and his sense of self-entitlement that he is the hereditary ruler of this country. I think that's how he sees himself. Anyways, enough with this foppish young duke. Let's get rid of him. Let's hit an ad break and then go into some more news. Diversity in the West upon us.
Canadians are
this
grappling
weekend.
with news blackouts on social media due to the Justin Trudeau Liberal government's Bill C-18. This new piece of legislation demands that social media platforms pay the government for news shared by users, which is an inconceivable task for companies like Meta and Google. So, as a result, they have decided to preemptively block all Canadian news content, including ours at Rebel News. In response to this, we have since teamed up with VPN provider Private Internet Access to ensure that you can continue to access all of our content across a broad range of platforms while also maintaining your privacy. For only $2 a month, you can bypass Trudeau's new censorship laws while you safeguard freedom of speech and continue to get the news that matters to you the most. Visit piavpn.com/rebelnews to take advantage of the 84% discount and 4 months free. As a bonus, PIA has all of its servers located in the United States, not China, and they automatically delete user data from their servers to avoid leaks and government subpoenas for information phishing expeditions. Don't delay. Head over to piavpn.com/rebelnews to stay up to date on the news in Canada and protect your access to it. Don't delay. You don't want to be left behind.
All right. That was exciting. That's an ad for TACCOM. TACCOM is Canada's largest gun show. It's coming to the International Centre in beautiful Mississauga, Ontario, September 6th to 8th. I have never been to TACCOM, and I imagine you would know that I would love to go to TACCOM. Looks like those are my people, and I would just have money jumping out of my wallet every step of the way. TACCOM spans over 100,000 square feet. The event is dedicated to showcasing the best in tactical and competitive shooting disciplines, which is, as you know, an active rebellion these days. See top manufacturers and distributors from Canada, the USA, and Europe, and they showcase their latest products, training, and insights. This is the best. A new feature this year is the cash and carry deals on firearms and ammunition, allowing visitors to purchase directly at the show. Of course, provided they have a valid license. Last year's event drew over 14,500 guests, with all the major brands represented. TACCOM 2024 promises to be even bigger and go in an act of rebellion against this federal government. For tickets and showtimes, visit TACCOMcanada.com.
Well, two things about that TACCOM ad, Sheila. Do you think maybe for the soy set, we should run a disclaimer before we play that ad next time?
We don't have a soy set here. It's fine. We don't have to worry about that.
Toxic masculinity ahead. And I can tell you this. I now know where Lady Menzoid will be spending the weekend of September 6th to 8th.
I'm going to send her a shopping list.
Oh, and she won't be checking it twice. And I'm sure she's going to be wearing her Rebel News T-shirt, Girls and Guns. So, yeah, that looks like a real humdinger of a show.
Oh, I can't wait. David, I'll let you go into this next stuff. Maybe you can set it up because it is the quick decline of Toronto into a place where it is unsafe for Jews and just normal-minded people. I think this is a video from, sorry, who's this from?
I think it's Karima, isn't it?
Is it Karima?
Yeah.
Okay, this man, he puts up a hostage poster at a busy intersection in Toronto so that the hostages are never forgotten. And then he blindfolds himself with a yellow ribbon. He sits in ripped clothes, barefoot, as though he were a hostage. And police arrest him. They arrest him. They don't arrest the Hamas hate marchers calling for genocide. They arrest the guy who is showing what the other people are actually celebrating.
Yeah, Sheila, this is so disturbing because what this gentleman is doing, and I want to reach out to him. I want to get his story. I wish I had known something like this was going to happen. As you can see, folks, by the photograph, this is the most passive and peaceful type of demonstration there is. You notice he's not on the road. He's not blocking that Lexus there. He's on the island. And he's blindfolded himself. He's basically doing an act as though he is a hostage overseas in the Middle East. And the police come along, and I got to do some deep dive in researching this. Evidently, he was arrested for his own protection. Now, folks, this is the corner of Bathurst and Shepherd. It's a heavily Jewish area. And maybe there were ones and twos of the Hitler Youth mob there protesting, but this intersection every weekend has Jewish supporters there demonstrating basically the peaceful message of bring them home. So where was the clear and present danger? And as Sheila said, you can go to other parts of the city. Let's compare apples with apples here. Let's compare somebody at an intersection.
Efron, can you just, as we're talking about this, show the arrest, please?
Yeah, I'll just, very quickly summarize this, Sheila. Yonge Dundas Square, the busiest intersection in downtown Toronto, is routinely now taken over by the pro-Hamas people. They got to pray, you see. And even though the entire square is there for their taking to do an impromptu prayer, nope, they have to go right on the street, inconveniencing hundreds and hundreds of motorists, and the cops say, we can't do anything. This gentleman gets on an island. He's not interfering with the well-being or safety of anyone whatsoever, and the cops arrest him ostensibly for his own protection. I don't think that exists in the criminal code, by the way, Sheila. But this is yet another outrageous two-tier policing example. Just as Salman Sima got arrested for waving a Canadian flag at a Hamas demonstration, just as yours truly has been arrested twice by the Toronto Police Service for covering these people chanting for genocide. You go after the peaceful types, you go after independent media, and you bend the knee to the thugs. This is despicable. And Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkew, he should have his resignation letter on the table of the mayor right now. But let's be honest, it's likely the mayor instructing him to do this kind of crap.
Yeah, and meanwhile in Mississauga, on the streets of Mississauga, we've got a quick video and then we've got to go to an ad. But on the streets of Mississauga, they're calling for intifada, which is armed revolution, armed uprising. This is what's happening. But who's the bad guy? The guy reminding people that hostages are still being held 10 and a half months later.
Yeah, it's astounding. And also, if anyone thinks it's a stretch that Olivia Chow is giving these marching orders, and by the way, look at this video. I don't know, Sheila, am I in Canada still? I mean, I see the flag of Pakistan. I see the Palestinian flag, but that's beside the point. Deputy Mayor Malik, who has a whole history of anti-Semitic shenanigans, she was speaking in Toronto in which the flag of Hezbollah was being displayed. That's the terrorist organization. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a safe place in Toronto for the Jewish community. Not anymore.
But we have to go to bat for this fellow, Sheila.
Yeah.
That is outrageous. You know, and by the way, I think super producer Efren has dug up the photo. There she is, Miss America, right in front of the Hezbollah flag. That's the yellow and green thing behind her. Oh, man. Guess you can judge a book by its cover. Anyway, I do want to, put the police on the hot seat here, maybe remotely, just in case I get arrested again, and find out what was the ostensible policy reason of arresting a man who was inconveniencing nobody and was not even, as you would infer, in a clear and present danger situation by the pro-Hamas bullies. And by the way, if that is the case, then arrest the bullies, arrest the thugs, not the victim.
Yeah, they're telling him his skirt is too short. He was asking for it again. They're moving him for his safety. Why? Because he's going to be attacked by the bullies, or they're using the lame excuse, oh, there's the pro-Israel march in the background. So look at it in the streets there. All these people, the pro-Israel people, who's going to attack him? His own people? No, of course not. They just, what he's doing is a stark reminder that the police are doing nothing to deal with the Hamas hate marches and the calls for genocide on the streets of Toronto. We got to hit an ad and then we will move ahead because we're like 10 minutes left in the show. Oh. So we've got a message from our friends here at Coffee Brand Coffee. Buying coffee from companies like Dunkin' that hate you. Switch to Coffee Brand Coffee, where you can enjoy premium, fresh coffee roasted in America. Whether you prefer ground whole bean, K-Cups, oh, the convenience of K-Cups, rich cocoa, or refreshing cold brew bags, Coffee Brand Coffee has got you covered with products that don't push an agenda. It's just great coffee. Use code RUMBLE15 at checkout on coffeebrandcoffee.com for 15% off your first order. Make the switch to a brand that respects you and your values today. I just want coffee. I don't want a rainbow with my coffee. And I think most people are like that. I don't want a lecture from any of the companies that I want to buy sundries from. All right. We have one.
And you know what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Like you were saying, Sheila, I kind of like that name. It's emphasizing we're about coffee, Coffee Brand Coffee. Some people would say that's redundant. It kind of reminds me when I was a kid, the ad for Wagon Wheels it always ended with in chocolate, double chocolate, and chocolate flavors. So, even as a kid, I was perplexed, but I think the marketing message is, if you want a chocolate pastry, get a Wagon Wheel.
Yeah. Superstore or liquor store. So the Loblaws liquor store, and the more Jagmeet Singh talks about Loblaws, the more I like them.
And that's saying something.
That is saying something because of price gouging jerks with their bread price fixing. Anyways, they used to have a beer in the chubby bottle, so that should say how old I am. And it was just beer. It was like just that's what it was called. It was beer. And it was a yellow box.
Pizza.
Pizza. You know you're getting pizza. Okay, we've got another video. Saudi cleric and radical Islamist preacher Asim al-Hakim is touring Canada right now without issue. Hakim has suggested 9/11 was fabricated. He affirmed the legality of concubinage. I mean, that's a fancy way of saying sex slavery. And he's called for the death of Jews. Can anyone explain to me how he was allowed into Canada and how on earth he's permitted to speak to Canadian citizens? I'm all for free speech, but these are the same people who were like, you can't have Tucker Carlson speak. He'll say dangerous things and hateful things. Jokes, you mean? Make fun of our leaders. But this guy, he's just running around saying sex slaves are cool and let's kill all the Jews.
Is it really surprising, Sheila? And I can tell you how that media inquiry will go. The answer you'll get back is due to privacy and confidentiality, we cannot speak of his case. And, you know, as bad as he is for advocating death and genocide, well, we go one step further in this country, don't we, Sheila? With our homegrown Al-Qaeda terrorist, Omar Khadr.
Give him money.
And allegedly, again, because of privacy, you can't get a straight answer from the government. Allegedly, he's on a no-fly list, which, as our boss Ezra proved more than 5 years ago, he violates because he flew out to Atlantic Canada for some speaking engagement. Who would book that murderer as a speaker at a university? So what use is a no-fly list if it's not enforced? So I guess what I'm saying, Sheila, if we're turning a blind eye to an actual terrorist with blood on his hands, then this guy's kind of minor league stuff. He's only advocating for it. As far as I know, he hasn't actually killed anyone.
Yeah, he's just the coach. He's not the player.
Yeah.
But just the hypocrisy of these people, letting this guy just wander around loose in Canada while advocating for terrorism and other human rights violations. But Tucker Carlson, they didn't want him to come to the country because he might tell mean jokes about Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Wild.
And speaking of Tucker Carlson, his old network, at least, Fox, we have Egal with a complaint before the CRTC to remove Fox News from Canadian airwaves. Can you imagine? Is there anything Fox News has ever broadcast that is 1% of the vileness of that cleric, Sheila? And by the way, this is the same Egal that your provincial liquor monopoly, the LCBO, was raising money for during Pride Month in a very devious manner, saying it was actually going to AIDS research. Give me a break.
You mean the same Miguel funded by Justin Trudeau to attack his political enemies?
Yeah.
Those guys? Yeah. It's a neat little game that Justin Trudeau plays. He just funds these arm's length organizations who only exist to go around and attack Justin Trudeau's political enemies, and undermine the rightfully elected governments of certain provinces like Saskatchewan and Alberta. We've got one more clip on this. It's radical Imam Adnan Abiat of Port Coquitlam, BC, calls for the hypocrites of the Islamic nation to be killed one by one.
War machine and the killing machine of the Zionists, la'natullahi alayhim, and the Nasara that's supporting them, la'natullahi alayhim, the Christian country and the atheist country that's supporting them, US, and everyone supporting them, la'natullahi alayhim. Allahumma shud waqataka ala aduwwihim min al-yahudi والصهاينة الغاصبين والنصارى ومن ساعدهم وأيدهم وأمدهم اللهم وعليك بالمنافقين من هذه الأمة اللهم أحصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا. War machine.
Huh.
You know, so Sheila, I just want to say,
the Jews and the Christians dead.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to say, though, that for anyone that's viewing this broadcast and are saying to themselves or aloud, oh, Rebel News, I thought you're all about free speech, but you see something a little offensive and suddenly you're implying you'd like some censorship. No, I think I speak for Sheila. I think I speak for everybody at Rebel News when I say this. My line in the sand with free speech is this. You cross that line when you advocate harm or death to an individual or an identifiable group of individuals. That is what is happening there. And it's crickets.
Yeah. Well, and he's calling for the death and annihilation of Jews and their Christian supporters simply because those Christian supporters and the Jews may be Zionists. So he wants people killed for their deeply held opinions that they may or may not have ever even acted on, just for thinking that the Jews should have a Jewish homeland of their own. This guy wants to kill you. And he's just doing his thing, pork in poco, as they say, unmolested by the state. But don't you dare try to reopen your church during COVID, because they'll have you in handcuffs, El Chapo style, on the highway in Calgary.
Unbelievable. I thought that was the religion of peace, by the way, Sheila. I hate to ask impolite queries like that, but I wonder how well attended these seminars are. I wonder what his audience is, or maybe I don't want to know that answer.
Yeah, that's live streamed, so it's not just attendees of his mosque, it's going out to the world.
Yep.
So who knows how many people he's radicalized and encouraging to kill people like me and David and our friends. I think we need to hit an ad break, and we'll come right back, and I think we'll tidy up loose ends and chats.
Are you coming to a Rebel News Live in Calgary this October? We've added another great speaker, political science professor emeritus at the University of Calgary, Tom Flanagan, the renowned author who co-authored the best-selling book, Grave Error, How the Media Misled Us and the Truth About Residential Schools. You know, they say that us Canadians, we're just so nice, but I think we're just good at biting our tongues, even when doing so can be detrimental to our nation. Like all of the cowardly politicians, historians, and journalists whose silence is still breathing life into the false 2021 claim that the remains of 215 Indigenous children have been discovered in unmarked graves at BC's former Kamloops Indian Residential School. But that's the opposite of what will be happening during our in-person Rebel News Live event coming to Calgary October 5th. Our Rebel News Live will feature many of your favorite Rebel reporters, including yours truly, and conservative and freedom-minded speakers like Mr. Tom Flanagan, who uses his expertise to prove that we're not the racist child slaughterers who must forever be in shame and reconciliation, as they'd like us to think. It's been 3 years, nearly over 100 burnt and vandalized churches, and millions of taxpayer dollars later, and still not a single body has been discovered in an unmarked grave at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School. And Tom Flanagan is not afraid to say that, and we're not afraid to give him a stage to do so. If you haven't already, go to rebelnewslive.com. Buy your tickets at the early bird pricing, which is still available, and there's still some tickets for VIP, where you'll not just be able to meet us, but also eat and hang out with us after the conference. Again, that's rebelnewslive.com. I'll see you there.
When the panel said, listen, give it to 6-month-old babies with zero assurances this possibly would be safe. I said, where were you the day when the WHO came out and said, do not use remdesivir in the hospital? I'm Dr. Peter McCullough. Join me for an evening together. Tickets are on sale now.
And Sheila, I noticed Avi Yamini will be coming to Rebel News Live in Calgary. Is this his first time in Canada, or has he been here before?
Is he coming? I don't know. I think he might be appearing remotely.
Oh, I just
Remotely.
found out remotely.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
we got to
Because
keep the costs low.
I wanted to get his unvarnished opinion on his fellow countrywoman, Reagan.
Oh,
And by the way, we shouldn't be so smug. A Canadian won the world championship of the most useless sport, air quotes on sport, and a Canadian was runner up too, if you can believe it. The World Air Guitar Championships took place on the weekend, Sheila. Can you imagine? That's where I'm rooting against Canada. I want nothing to do with that. How is that a sport? Air guitar.
do you know, when I was at a wedding over the weekend, there was a little guy there who was really cutting a rug. He was a better break dancer than Ray Gunn. He was like 3. He was awesome. This is a disgrace. Anyway, I just want to tell people about Dr. McCullough's event
Yes.
with our friends from Canadians for Truth, because I have heard him speak. I saw him speak at Red Deer, and what a brave man. Time has proven that man right about almost everything. And to listen to him, so thoughtful, not the waggle-eyed crazy person the mainstream media painted him as. So on Saturday, September 14th, David, I actually hope you can go, because to listen to him speak is great. And it's great to have all those skeptics gathered in one place thinking, I told you so, to the world. So coming to the Toronto area, our friends at Canada Christian College are hosting. Many doctors bravely risked their careers to oppose the unscientific approach to governments around the world that they took to COVID-19, but perhaps none with the same weight and authority as Dr. McCullough. It's a full-day event. It will take place at the Canada Christian College in Whitby and feature speeches and Q&A with Dr. McCullough and special guests Dr. Mark Trozzi and Regina Wattiel, NHL legend Theo Fleury, and Canadian business magnate from Saskatchewan, Joseph Bourgault, will be in attendance to host the event. So get your tickets right now. Go right now. No, here's what you're going to do. You're going to finish watching the show. Then you're going to go over to Rebel News Live, buy a ticket there. Then you're going to go over to CanadiansForTruth.ca/events and get a ticket if you are in the Greater Toronto area to see Dr. Peter McCullough speak.
And you know what? Isn't that
yeah.
title of that presentation, Sheila, prescient in a way? What's next? Because as you know, all kinds of chatter going on now about monkeypox, aka its rebranding mpox. And you know, Sheila, am I a conspiracy theorist here? Am I a crank? But is it not a little uncanny to you that the next maybe global pandemic is coming on the heels of a U.S. election?
It's also coming on the heels of Pride season. And as we know, mpox is an STD that doesn't really affect heterosexuals. And so you could also track the start of the monkeypox outbreak in Toronto to about 30 days after the beginning of June's Pride season. So, but
Yeah.
you know, you read these articles about monkeypox or mpox or whatever they're calling it now, and they never ever tell you that it's an STD. So just keep it in your genes and everybody will be fine. But they don't tell you that because we live in a disgusting hedonistic society. And so just doing the one thing that will keep you from getting monkeypox is the one thing they won't ask you to do. But we have to get to this story because it's in the YouTube headline. So I don't need the emails. And it sort of ties nicely into the Dr. Peter McCullough's event and then monkeypox and how we're sort of being lied to about that. RFK endorsed Trump.
Yep. Beautiful.
You know what? Just don't. I like RFK. I like what he says about health and avoiding big pharma and all those things and working out and getting sunshine and eating meat and staying healthy and lowering your comorbidities for all causes of mortality. That's great. I just don't want that guy anywhere near energy policy. So as long as he just stays in his lane, we're going to be great.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, that was a fantastic announcement. It can only bolster the Republicans, I think. Regardless, Sheila, I think if Kennedy were still running as an independent, it was going to hurt the Democrats more than the Republicans. So
Right.
and I gotta tell you, I'm loving that look. You see the thin early 60s tie he's wearing. I think I'll start wearing such a tie as that, as a nod to Kennedy. But this is fantastic. I can only imagine the behind the scenes meltdowns occurring with senior Democrats. And hey, Sheila, let's be honest, even members of his own family. I'm sure Camelot is a pretty raucous place these days.
Yeah, I mean, who amongst his voters would, if you were a skeptic of Big Pharma, and you were still on the left, as so many skeptics of Big Pharma used to be, he's your guy. Now he brings those people who probably wouldn't have been historic Republicans or Trump voters. He brings those people into the Trump fold. That's going to spook the Democrats, I hope. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch.
You know, I am pretty convinced right now, Sheila, and the caveat is if this is a fair election, if there's no cheating shenanigans.
Careful, you're going to get us kicked off of YouTube if you keep talking about that.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. YouTube, I'm speaking hypothetically.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? Sheila's right. She's my governor. I'm going to cancel that thought. I am going to self-censor myself.
You can't talk about election integrity in any sort of skeptical way on YouTube. But I think all of our viewers know exactly what we're getting at. Mm-hmm. If there's no hanky-panky, everything will be fine. But never underestimate the potential for hanky-panky. Okay, let's get to a couple of chats here. Yes. I got to drill back up and find them here, guys. Okay, Ryerson Gary, regular viewer, regular supporter of the show. Gives us $5. Thank you so much. And says, the consummate parasite Jagmeet Singh is always, quote, on the side of the working man. To me, what he is saying is a big FU to the 20 million in the workforce that are already adversely affected by the strike. That's the rail strike. Do we have a clip of Jagmeet Singh talking about the rail strike?
Oh, this is the worst.
Okay, we'll give him 30 seconds. Go ahead, David. Rag the puck while he finds that.
Can Jagmeet Singh emulate the behavior of the boy who cried wolf even more so than he did the last few days when he was hinting at bringing down the government for intervening in the rail strike, when we all know, sure as there's salt water in the Pacific, Sheila, that what he says in public and what he does in the House, i.e. prop up the Liberals, because the magic number is January 2025. That's when Singh's pension, which will be worth millions, given the average lifespan of what Jagmeet Singh can expect. That's all he cares about right now. This is a champagne socialist who is only thinking about himself, and the proverbial proof is in the pudding, Sheila. If you look at the polls, the NDP are exactly where they are today if an election was called. Maybe they'll gain a seat, maybe they'll lose a couple, but this grand strategy, so to speak, adopted 2 years ago, that this was going to put the NDP over the hump. Well, I mean, he once said, when I'm prime minister, I've never seen the House of Commons laugh so hard in my life. But let's be realistic. To become the official opposition, that is a pipe dream, despite how bad the Liberal Party is tanking.
Let's throw this clip, and then I've got just a quick little comment to make about why he's so despicable. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Today's rail stoppage. You said earlier on the picket line that you would vote against any Liberal back to work legislation, even if it's a confidence vote. So my question is, if it comes to that, if you do end up voting against the Liberals in confidence vote, would that break your supply and confidence agreement with that?
Well, we made it very clear that we would always oppose back to work legislation. I made that very clear to Justin Trudeau. I looked him right in the eyes and said, we will never support any back to work legislation, Never count on us. You'll have to go to conservatives, who are the enemy of working people. You can go to yourself, because we know the Liberals have sold out working people again and again with back to work legislation, forcing them back to work, undermining their rights. So if that's the path the Liberals want to go, we're going to fight them every step of the way. We made it very clear. I said, whether it's confidence or not, I don't care. We're going to vote against any measure that attacks working people. Back to work, binding arbitration, we'll be voting against it. We'll be fighting it every step of the way. I made that abundantly clear to Justin Trudeau, and I make that clear again today. Well, if it's a confidence vote, that's breaking the agreement. We always have the right to withdraw our support from the agreement that we have. That remains our position. We can always pull away. We can always break it. But I'll make it very clear: if Justin Trudeau brings in any measure that attacks workers' rights, we will vote against it. Confidence or not, agreement or not, we will vote against it, and we will stand up for working people.
No, you won't.
No, and I'll tell you why. So as maybe he has forgotten the history of the party that he leads, but I have not. It was an agrarian party. It was formed out of the CCF, led out of Saskatchewan. It was a rural party. Boy, have they gone far away from that. The reason I'm bringing all that up is this rail strike is happening right at harvest. We need those rail cars as farmers. Our grain is going to spoil in the bin. And the formerly agricultural party of the NDP, Tommy Douglas's NDP, does not exist anymore. Don't get me wrong. I disagree with Tommy Douglas on almost absolutely everything. But I never thought that for a second that iteration of the NDP had it out to get farmers. I think that we are just completely forgotten in all of this, that entire portion of the economy that needs the trains moving right now, besides everybody else. We have a perishable product right now that is coming off the fields, and we can't move it because of this rail stoppage.
Oh, even a few days is so detrimental to the economy, Sheila. And by the way, I want to take issue with what he said about the enemy of the workers, that being the Conservatives. Again, as I mentioned, Lincoln Jay and I went down to Hamilton earlier this month to take in a Pierre Poilievre press conference at Stelco, which is producing world-class steel products. I can tell you the workers there gave Pierre Poilievre a very warm reception indeed. And off camera, a couple of the workers came up to me and they said months ago, Singh was in that very plant. And what a plant, Sheila, 115 years old, right? Yeah. It has employed 4 generations of Hamiltonians. Under Justin Trudeau, over $300 million in carbon taxes this plant has paid. Can you imagine that? 1/3 of $1 billion almost. I mean, and if I'm the CEO of Stelco, why am I making steel in Canada anymore with that kind of hit? You know, it's a very
make it into Detroit and bring it over.
Exactly. And what these workers told me is that Singh was actually heckled. It didn't help his cause that he was wearing like a $1,500 designer jacket and a very fancy wristwatch. But and then for him to say that the Liberals sold out at that very same press conference, I think 3 times Pierre Poilievre referred to Singh as sellout Singh. And that's truth in advertising, because he is propping. I mean, when he says the Liberals have sold out, but you're still going to prop them up when push comes to shove, if this comes to a vote, this man is despicable. I don't think, you know what? Sheila, tell me, who do you have more contempt for, Justin Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh?
I think Jagmeet Singh.
Yeah.
Because, I think so.
It's a photo finish. I grant you that, but still.
Jagmeet Singh has a sense of entitlement.
Yep.
And he feels like he's also in control of this country. And I mean, reasonably, I suppose he is, because without him, we don't have the crushing policies of Justin Trudeau. He's the one man who could stop all of this. And he doesn't care, because this is as close to the levers of power as he's going to get. And he doesn't care who gets hurt along the way. And I take great pleasure in the blue collar people of the other parts of this country finding out that their union leadership long ago sold them out to the NDP. And in Alberta, like the union, upper union leadership may be NDP supporters, but everybody else forced into that union votes Conservative.
Oh yeah, and the truth of the matter, today's modern day NDP party, Sheila, it's a two-headed hydra. There are some of the old schoolers who were part of the lunch bucket brigade, right? They were for supporting
I don't think these people are around
projects.
anymore. I don't think they're around anymore. I don't think they even exist anymore.
Yeah, but those who are outnumbered by the champagne socialists, the Jagmeet Singhs that go to a downtown Toronto cafe and talk about more carbon taxes and shutting down the energy sector. And so basically, if you're a member of the hard hat contingent, if you're a member of the lunch bucket brigade, your party, your traditional party, has deserted you. They've left you. And if
decades ago. Decades ago. Like look who's the closest thing to the lunch bucket brigade is that insufferable Jerry Diaz. he's all that's left, and he was never one of those guys. Let's keep going because we've got a quick message from Rumble and one more chat to get to. Nana Awake. Sorry, two more chats. Nana Awake gives us $10 and says Mark Carney is the UN czar. He was also the head of the Bank of Canada who instituted the end of the bank agreements with Canada. He will make Trudeau look like a church mouse. Look, I make no bones about how much I dislike Mark Carney. It is his job with the United Nations to go around and de-bank energy projects. That's what he does. De-bank them, de-insure them so that even if they reach financial viability by some means, they cannot go ahead because they can't get insurance. So that's what he does. So I don't like him. Don't get me wrong. I think he's horrible. And like I said, his policy should be launched into space. But I think he might be the most palatable of the people in the liberal ecosphere because everybody else is just that bad is what I'm saying. All things being relative.
You mean he'd be an upgrade from Fraulein Freeland?
She needs to go to, I look at her and I'm like, is she in the throes of some sort of Adderall addiction? I don't know. That's just what I'm seeing with my eyes. Something is wrong. Okay, we've got a quick message from another message from our friends at Rumble. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting this queued up. Okay. I have an important message about President Trump for all the parents out there, parents like me, so please listen up. President Trump says he wants to take back America and teach our kids to love our country. That's why it's important that we make sure our kids are learning the truth about President Trump and not the distorted lies they're hearing in the mainstream media or in the classroom, by the way. Even Canadian teachers are captured by Trump derangement syndrome. The good news is that Mike Huckabee's team put together the Kids Guide to President Trump. And right now you can get it for free with fun illustrations and easy to follow content. This important guide teaches kids all about President Trump's accomplishments during his first term, and it helps kids understand his goals for 2024. Mike Huckabee wants to send you this free guide so you can teach your kids the truth. But please hurry because supplies are limited. To claim your free Kids Guide to President Trump right now, visit kidstrumpguide.com. That's kidstrumpguide.com. All right. That's fun. I used to buy my kids' books written by, Mr. Producer. You know what I mean? He says Mr. Anyways.
I feel like I'm on Party Game watching your body language.
I'm trying. It's totally went in one ear and right out the other. I even know the name of the book. It's called My Dog Spot. Dang it. I'll remember it as soon as I'm off air and I'm going to text you. It's on Patriot.
You're having a Biden moment.
I am having a Biden moment. Really. That's okay. We've Mark Levin. Thank you, Dave. Mark Levin. Mark Levin's dad writes kids' books, or he did.
Yes.
My Dog Spot. I bought them all for my kids. They were great.
Are they good?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, hardcover, everything. Great illustrations. They were awesome. Thank you, Dave, for coming through when David let me down. All right, we've got one more chat
you
here.
know what? And I did let you down, Sheila. I should know that. I listened to the Great One. I've heard him talk about
Thank
his
you.
father doing these books. And well, all I got to say is I was having a Biden moment too. It's contagious.
Yeah, that's why I said Mr. Producer. I thought maybe that would be like, get to you.
Can you imagine if that really was a contagious disease? I think we're better off with monkeypox breaking out.
Some kind of social contagion. It's the reason sheep walk in circles. Did you know that? Anyway, let's keep on. We got one more chat here. It's from my friend Mike from Freedom Honey. Gives us $5, 9 p.m. tonight Eastern, so the 7 p.m. my time. And thank you for the reminder, Mike, because I forgot. We're doing a Twitter space on my expose on the documents wherein the Veterans Affairs communications people tried to hide their communications about offering veterans aid. They changed their talking points in real time, and they said, let's take these conversations offline. Let's do our updates verbally. They didn't want a paper trail. So I'm going to talk on, sorry, I said Twitter, but it's X Spaces. You can find me at Sheila Gunn Reid, and Mike is Freedom Honey. So you can find us there. We're going to have a little chat. Mike's a veteran and an advocate for veterans. So we're going to talk about the work that I do. So that's what we're doing. And you didn't need to pay me to say that, Mike. I'm sorry, I forgot. All right, that's it. We're all done.
Fantastic. Well, Sheila, there was so much we didn't even get to. That's
I
how
know.
busy it is. You know, I don't know. Who are these people, Sheila? I doubt they're members of our audience, but they say, I'm taking summer off. It never ends for us. It's just every day. It's inconceivable. Just even get a few days off is something, but
I took one day.
The world never stops. Well, folks, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. A special thank you to all of you who gave a donation. That's how we keep the lights out. Lights out. No, I meant lights on. See what I said about Biden moments? It's happening to me.
It's a social contagion. My brain didn't brain, and now your brain isn't braining.
I better wrap this up quickly. Sheila and I, God willing, will be back on Friday, the second last day of August. My goodness, where did the summer go? In the meantime, as always, stay safe and stay sane.